Okay, number 2 sign that you're on the right track.
Tell me.
Everything comes together in an inexplicable way where suddenly you're not doubting yourself so much anymore, and it's just this feeling you have. Do you have this feeling ever? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Welcome to Breaking Down Your Business, episode 248.
Welcome.
You can find the show notes of this episode at breakingdownyourbusiness.com/248. The high voice is Jill from the Founding Moms.
Yeah, and that's Brad from Anchor Advisors.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
On today's show, we're going to celebrate that spring is coming. You know how I know spring's coming?
How do you know spring's
We're
coming?
going to talk about that in just a minute.
Oh, come on.
And then Jill.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that she says hi guys a lot?
I say, hey, guys, even more.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
You guys, even more than that.
And then we got the top 5 signs that you're on the right track.
Okay.
Jill,
Cool.
you know how when you're grinding away building your business,
Yeah.
it can be hard to know if you're on the right track. You know, when you
I'm hustling.
when you got your nose to the grindstone, it's hard to get the big picture in focus.
Yeah, like every day.
Right. So you might feel like quitting. Like I feel sometimes like winter is going to go on forever.
Yeah, January, longest month
Right.
of the year.
But then eventually you start to see buds on the trees and you start to see daffodils coming up and you know that spring is coming.
I love it, though. I love it. It's a good sign.
Has there ever been a time when you were grinding away and then all of a sudden you saw a signal that, hey, I'm actually on the right path?
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch I'm going to talk about soon, but I usually mostly get that when I'm talking to other people. I can't stay in my head about it. I need to hear reactions from other people.
That's interesting.
And I go, oh, I am doing something right. It takes everyone else around me to make me go,
the
I am
external
sane
validation.
and doing something
Yeah.
good. What works for you?
Well, the one time, the most memorable time for me, I was really like at the point where I thought I was going to quit.
Really?
And
You're so good at what you do.
I took a little retreat with myself and was like, what would I have to do to make this worth it? How would I change things to make this better? And that's when I doubled my prices.
That's my favorite.
And
That's my favorite.
And that month I closed twice as many clients as I closed the month before.
What? So it gave you new fire.
And I was like, this is going to work.
Brad, that is so fire.
Right?
That's awesome. I love it. So you got yourself there. I need
did.
other people, but
I
you
did.
got yourself there.
I did.
You had to hit rock bottom.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's true of a lot of business owners. I think a lot of business owners could tell a story.
Well, you know what? If we want to go the addiction route, it is like having an addiction where you get stuck on the little things and you can't get yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you trigger that? And you needed to hit rock bottom. I just need the support of my sponsors.
So, hey, Jill.
Hey, Brad.
Is there a particular phrase that you wanted to talk about this week?
I need to talk to you about something I got yelled at about recently.
In the podcast? Because you get yelled at a lot of things.
I get yelled at all the time in the podcast. No, you guys who've listened before, you know how often I say the term, you guys. And I use it in a lot of punctuation in my emails that I send out
you guys!
every day in my newsletter to my organization's members, the Founding Moms.
Who, by the way, all female.
Well, for the most part, and there are some dudes who get the newsletter, but mostly they're women, and I often use the expression not to address them as men, but I will start a paragraph very excited to share some big news, and I'll always start it with, you guys, guess what's happening?
What's happening?
And a woman recently wrote me back.
Uh-oh.
And she said to me in an email, I'd really like for you to change the way that you address us. I am not a guy. And she said very sarcastically, just to update you, I'm a woman. And I did not earn this title. I think it is insulting. And I think that in this era of Me Too, you need to watch who you're talking to.
Wow.
And I read it, and of course my first reaction was, I'm not intending to call you a man. I'm just using it as an expression that I have used all of my life.
Yeah.
That I think my mom even used to address me and my 3 sisters. So it's very much a non-gendered phrase. But
Jill, let's just be real. It is not a non-gendered phrase.
Well, I believe that having looked it up, we can talk about this after the story is done. It has become a non-gendered phrase.
Oh,
but anyway.
Okay.
I wrote her right back.
Yeah.
And I said, thank you for this food for thought. It's never occurred to me, which it had not. I'm really going to take this into consideration. Thank you so much. I throw it out to my members of the Founding Moms community, and we start a big fat discussion about it. unbeknownst to myself that day, I forgot to mention to this woman when I replied that I had already scheduled the rest of my week's emails going out. So the next day,
She gets an email.
she gets an email from me that I'd already scheduled, and I forgot included the phrase, "You guys."
Of course it did.
That's how much I say this phrase.
Every day.
So she wrote me back, and she said, "Jill, I feel as though that was a personal attack. I don't know why you told me that you were listening to me, and then all of a sudden you throw it into this email. Basically, in short, to summarize for you, how dare you?"
Yeah. How dare you, Jill?
And I wrote her right back, and I said, "Look, I'm so sorry I forgot. They're all scheduled out," and I explained the whole thing. And I said, "No, really, I am considering changing my language." And she wrote back a grateful, "Thank you so much. I'm glad you're listening." And it was fascinating in the discussion with my community, who are filled with members I love dearly, who are all very supportive, and we are all very thoughtful about each other's business problems. I was shocked that the majority of the members who responded to this said, I would highly recommend changing your language. And I had to go back and forth between intent and impact for a while in my brain, because what I intended was clearly not was the impact, the result of what they all got. But I thought, you know what? My audience is moms. And if even 30% are impacted in a negative way from a phrase that is not even important to what I do,
Exactly.
then I'm going to change my language.
And I've often told leaders that as a leader, you're actually responsible for the impact and not the intent
And
of
I
your
hated that when
communication.
somebody first introduced this idea to me.
Yeah.
I thought, no, this should be about the intent, because if I don't mean it, I then went to a place of, well, then it's good that I'm using it. I will only attract people who understand that I don't mean it negatively. Right. So it was very interesting. For the very first time, it was shown to me how important language is when you're talking to your customers, your clients.
We need to use the language that they would use to describe themselves.
Sure, and in fact, if you said to me, "Jill, are you offended if I call you hey guys?" I would tell you, no, not at all. But
Right.
I think that there's something to the fact that you need to either ask more people, or really, I'm not walking on eggshells about this. I am going to no longer use the phrase "you guys" in my newsletters, but obviously...
But just every 2
I'm
minutes on the podcast.
Every 2 minutes on the podcast. So I'm gonna go. It's really hard to get rid of something you've said all of your life.
Yeah.
But I like that it woke me to it, and I'm not, editing my emails now to make sure that I'm including all non-gendered words.
Right.
But I like that people feel comfortable enough and know that I'll listen to them if they have a problem.
Well, and I think it does point out that you don't have to be like a big fat racist to make mistakes in this area. Like,
Correct.
We all need to be a little bit more careful about how the language that we're using. And I don't know if you saw recently, I think it was last month, Canada actually changed their national anthem to use inclusive language.
I did see that, and I love that, and that's somebody paying attention.
Right.
Like a whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. Well, thanks, Jill.
You're welcome, you guys. That was the last time. I swear. That was the last time.
So, Jill, do you have a top 5?
I do have a top 5. Top 5 signs that you're on the right track.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, you can't wait, because my number 5 sign you guys are on the right track in your business is when you're affecting people. When a customer or client says that you've changed their day or their business or their life, or they say something as simple as "thank you for listening."
That feels great, doesn't it?
It does feel so good.
When a client tells me something like that it totally makes my day. So here's the other thing. If you're working with an advisor who is changing your business or changing your life, tell them.
You should tell them.
It feels great.
And you know what? It helps them know they're on the right track. My number 4 sign to knowing you're on the right track is that you change something major and you don't lose all of your business. So you know that advice, Brad, that you love to give?
That's not really a sign that you're on the right track. It's a sign that you're not driving off a cliff.
But it's also a sign that you're on the right track. And I liken it not only to your, hey, everybody raise your prices that you love to tell people, but
I do.
My big switch 3 months ago from my once every 2 weeks newsletter to my daily newsletter, where people have unsubscribed like crazy. But it's actually, I'm on the right track, because all the people who've stayed with me, it didn't go down to 0.
Oh, good.
They didn't lose every single person who I've ever emailed, which was fantastic. So I knew I was on the right track. And it's actually improved my business. Number 3 sign that you're on the right track is when people ask what your rates are without you pitching them.
Ooh, tell me more.
You speak at an event and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, how much is it to come speak at my event?" You never pitch to that person.
Right.
Or you have a customer or client who just walks up to you after having seen you somewhere and says, "Oh, what do you charge to work with you?" Or How much is your product?
This is something that I find is confusing when I'm working with people on sales training, is that when people ask how much, that's actually a buying signal. They're telling you that they're interested in buying.
Right, yeah.
But for a lot of people who are uncomfortable talking about price, they start to get all fumbly in that moment. That's not the time to get fumbly.
That's definitely not the time.
That's the time to just say, it's $5,000.
And a little moment in your mind could be, ooh, they're asking. I'm on the right track. And then you sort of get lost in the excitement.
Exactly.
Yeah, have that prepared, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, sign that you're on the right track.
Tell me.
Everything comes together in an inexplicable way where suddenly you're not doubting yourself so much anymore, and it's just this feeling you have. Do you have this feeling ever? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but I think it's...
This is a tough one to describe.
I think I might be on drugs when that happens. Like...
What? Tell us more,
well,
Brad.
No, I mean, there are just those mornings where everything's sunny and everything looks good, and I stop doubting myself.
Yeah.
And like, but is that really a sign I'm on the right track, or is that just...
you can doubt that in and of itself. You can go in like a guinea pig track or like a loop forever about it. But that's a moment or a reflection or a feeling that I think if you can capture that and know what it is and go, oh, wait, this means I'm on the right track because something just felt easier or felt less anxious-filled, anxiety-filled.
I think there's definitely, like, when I go to do something for a client and I have more confidence than I had the last time, or where they have more confidence in me, where things just work.
Yeah.
That's
it
a good
feels so
feeling.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that so you can start paying attention to it. Number 1 sign you're on the right track.
Yes.
This is from me and from Brad. You start to hear business jargon, and you just Google it, and then you just start rolling your eyes and go, that's crap. That is just ridiculous. Brad, you and I have kept a long list of business jargon. Do you want to throw out some
You don't think we should synergize the action items and get a takeaway right away so that we can deliver on that?
Wait, hold on. Can you all listen to how I'm rolling my eyes? I'm rolling my eyes. I've done it 3 times now. But if you guys hear any business jargon or have a meeting with somebody who says so many of those words, and you in your head, don't do it out loud. In your head, just roll those eyes. You know you're on the right track.
You don't even have to roll your eyes. You could just have that little meter in the back of your head that's going, bull!
Yeah.
Bull! Bull!
He's using his hand to signal the meter. Yeah, that's my top 5 signs. You're on the right track.
Thanks, Jill.
If you have any that you think I forgot,
call us, 708-872-7878, or send a text message to that magic number, 708-872-7878.
Give us some iTunes love. We love you. BreakingDownYourBusiness.com/iTunes. Brad, we crushed it.
You did.